Welcome to the Grumpy Men. Two grumpy men, C. Grooms and Bobby May. What it do?
What it do, everybody?
Yeah, welcome to another show, man. You know, we out here. You know, it's been a long week, brother. You know, I can't even act like it hasn't been, man.
Yeah.
It's been you know, it's funny, man, when you know, if anybody don't know right now, we're talking about you know, the murder of Nipsey Hussle and everything. You know, young brother, 33 years old, you know, was out there, you know, doing his thing. You know, it's the same things that we always talk about on other platforms, talking about black empowerment and doing for your community and, you know, rising up from the ashes, re-educating yourself. Like, you know, this man, he did that. You know what I'm saying? So it was kind of heartbreaking. You know what I'm saying? No, not kind of. It was heartbreaking.
It was.
You know,
it
was heartbreaking because, you know, you talking about a young brother, you know, because I had to rewind for a second, you know, look at my age now and go backwards to when I was 33. And I'm like, damn, you know what I'm saying? Like, I wasn't even halfway. You know, I had re-educated myself, no doubt, but I wasn't halfway to doing what he already had accomplished from the plan that he laid out once he re-educated himself, because he did that in a short period of time.
Yeah.
You know? You talking about a man that came up with the concept, like, he was selling $100 downloads. You know what I mean? He's like, yo, I'm selling $100 downloads. I got 100 of them. You know, also on some real exclusive shit. That's like, you know, you set a value of what you think you're worth, and you stick with it. That's the plan. You know what I mean? You never undervalue yourself. But tell the world, man. You know, that was just an intro onto, you know, everything that we're gonna talk about, you know, with the man. But,
I mean, I just think,
you know,
it's definitely a situation that you know, it's a tragedy proportion type thing. You know, like you were saying in the intro, you know, the young brother, he was doing his thing. You know what I'm saying? He was just definitely on a whole nother level. And, you know, he was just inspiring the culture and definitely moving the hip-hop culture forward and into other things, you know, and seeing other rappers but seeing what he was doing and trying to emulate that in their cities. And, you know, he was just, you know, his death is just is different. You know, like you just keep hearing people say it's a different kind of hurt, because it wasn't like he was somebody who was like, well, I'm an ill MC and I'm, you know, and I'm gonna do this and I do that. It was more of a, you know, he was just telling you, laying out his plan and telling you about his life, and, you know, and he was doing everything he was saying he was doing. You know, all the businesses he had. I mean, he had investments in a lot of businesses. You know, he wound up buying back the same storefronts, plaza that he used to hustle in. You know,
right?
And that's just, you know, that's the type of vision he had. Like, I'm gonna buy this. I'm gonna buy this. You know, and that's what's so crazy about it, because that's where he grew up hustling at. He got arrested in there. He had fights in there, all in that same parking lot, and he died in that parking lot. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Damn.
That's all he loved being there. He loved it. Like, he loved being amongst his own. He was comfortable there, you know. And the sad thing is that when you comfortable, you know, that's when shit happens. You can't be, you know, even though you make it to a certain level, you always gotta believe that, you know, like Jay always say, the streets is watching. So you all, you know, that was one of those iconic rap lines. The streets is watching, and people, you know, people that just thought that was just a song, was a lyric in a song. No, that's real shit. Like, the streets is always watching you. Like, somebody always watching you. They always seeing what you doing, and they always planning. And, you know, when you come from the hood and shit like that, it's even more prevalent, because if they don't have it and they see you, you stick out like a sore thumb, because you shining. You know?
Right.
And here you are, you doing grand scheme, you doing grand grand things. You know, like you like I just said, you bought this whole strip mall back. You put your own. You put businesses in there. The people that used to chase you out of the parking lot, now you're tenants. You got, you buying up property in the hood. You part of a develop. He was a part of a development that was going to build down there and on Crenshaw. Just like how they do in these other communities. But he was bringing that to his hood. He was starting a STEM program for the kids. He wanted to talk to the police, see if they could get on a chord where we could stop this violence and stop kids from going to jail. And in my neighborhood, in my hood, and make it so they can be safe.
Yep.
This is the type of shit. Like this is the shit. He wasn't just talking about it; he was doing it. He had investments in crypto, weed. He had his own little spot. It's like a vector center where business youngs and businesses could come, plug in, bring their laptop, plug in, pay rent on a workstation for a day or a week or a month, however long they want to, and come there. And it wasn't a lot of overspace. Like that's some shit that they was doing now. Like you see those type of things everywhere. Like
that's big, man. That's big.
Yeah. So, and everywhere he went with that same message. It didn't like he went. He's in New York. He's in Atlanta. He's in Miami. He's wherever, Texas, wherever he's at. He's consistent. His shit was the same message. The same message. Like I'm just. It's a marathon. That's what he preached. It's a marathon. I'm in it for the marathon. That, what I'm saying? I'm in it for the long run. That's what he was about, the longevity. Building that lasting money for your family forever, that, your kids grow up and that residual money is always coming in for them. And he did that. But unfortunately, he died so young, he could have did it even to a greater scale. But, whether you believe it was a conspiracy to kill him, whether you believe it was a hit, whether you believe it was just some hating-ass motherfucker that killed him, all those shits equal he dead. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
He dead. He ain't,
well, how about this?
I
everything you just said, I think it's all of those things. You know what I'm saying? It's definitely a conspiracy on a grand scale. I'm not even saying it was targeting him. The conspiracy is against any minority, any black person that's young, that's out there, that has influence, that has a brain, and that has made the decision to say, you know what, I'm going to do the right thing, and I'm going to do it for my people. I'm going to re-educate my people. Right away, you become a target of a larger plan because the government, the FBI, the CIA, all of these different alphabet organizations, the same group of people that killed Martin Luther King, that's been proven in court. The same group of people that came after Malcolm X and Marcus Garvey and, Fred Hampton, like, they come after you when you have influence and power and you're young. Let's take a real good look here. How old was Martin Luther King when he passed? He wasn't old. Malcolm X wasn't old. You know what I'm saying? Like, Fred Hampton wasn't old. Like, dudes, they getting taken out in the beginning of their second chance at life. Because you got to remember, the first 18 to 21 years, you living under somebody else's plan, indoctrination, their way of thinking. You got to outgrow these things, because people raise us up, to push us on our way so we could become men. And he was a young man. Like, 33 is not old. Like, you're just beginning. And he was already doing some of these big things. The things that we hear that you would want to aspire to do, he already has started that. And remember, his first 18 to 20 years, what was he in? He was in the street. He was a young dude in the street, still coming of age. He admitted to himself on camera, in various interviews, that he had to re-educate himself. So the conspiracy is on a grand scale. Like, anybody that is about preaching knowledge of self and reinvesting in their community and spreading love, that's where the conspiracy is at. I know it got a little it got a little haywire, on social media in terms of, the different things that, that people were putting out there. Well, is this conspiracy, that conspiracy? I think where a lot of people fall short is, like, see, we having an in-depth discussion about it, but people were just throwing it out there that people are supposed to understand that. There are a lot of people that don't understand that the conspiracy is to kill your mind, to kill your spirit, and it's definitely about killing black men. Now, if you can't put those pieces of the puzzle together to see that, black men die at the hands of law enforcement agencies or at a disproportionate level than other ethnicities, then something is wrong. Like, you've just been distracted that long enough where you can't see it. And some people are never going to see it. Like, they've been dumbed down, for 20 years. You know what I'm saying? So it's hard to recover from that. So, it's definitely a conspiracy. The other part of it is, you said, hating ass people. It ain't about the gangbanging. It ain't about that, because once you move past something and you trying to progress, and people was coming home from jail and he was giving them jobs and he was looking out for the hood, he's spreading love at that point. It ain't about hate. Like, the man was unifying Crips and Bloods. The irony, Rob, though? Like, the irony is this. When those two organizations got started, they was about community upliftment. They used to work together. Crips and the Bloods was a unified group. And on some level, you got to look at it like this. Between the Crips and the Bloods, how they started off, and then you had the Black Panthers out in Oakland. They came up. They used to police the police. That's what they was doing. They was making sure that their civil rights weren't being violated and things of that nature. They knew the Constitution. They knew their inalienable rights. They knew all of that stuff. So it was deep. So when you start learning about, what's really yours and, like the Constitution and all these things, and nationality, what happens? Same thing that happened. Hoover gets involved, COINTELPRO. They got to shut it down. They always got something to try to shut it down, but we still here. It's on us. It's our age group that's going to have to reach back and teach the youngins. And it's unfortunate that it took the death of a young man like this for other people to look at the bigger picture. But, we dropping like flies, brother, out here. And it was very disturbing. And what was the third point you brought up? Because they all coincided.
You said all three of them.
I did. Okay.
It just, you gotta, like, I think one of the most disheartening part too about it is, like, when besides him, he's losing his life, and then if you watch the video and get shot, and they putting the video out on TV on shit like that. Like, that's just trauma, putting on more trauma onto the people. You just, you could actually see this dude getting killed. Like, and then, it's so much with it that it's a lot. You know what I'm saying? That's why I said, it's just turning into a circus. You know what I'm saying? Unfortunately. And, like, I read, it was an article, I think it was, somebody posted in a group, I think it was Jamel Hill or something like that. I think it may have been her. I'm not sure if she was the writer of the article. But I read it, and she was, her theory was basically, she didn't believe in the conspiracy theories and things like that, and basically it was just, we got bigger issues within ourselves with the black on black, crime situation, things like that. Mm-hmm. But I think that when you writing something, when you're going to talk about this, you have to talk about it in open context and say that anything is on the table and it could have happened. You can't just dismiss and say that it wasn't this and it wasn't this and it wasn't this, because we wasn't there and you weren't, you didn't see what happened. So, at you just got to go by what's being laid out and the real facts that you can find out, and make your summation from there, pretty much, and
Right.
put the pieces together, because it's like a puzzle, and that's how it's going to play out. Because you're hearing many different stories and things. When it first came out, it was, he kicked him out of the store, or he roughed him up, threw him out the store, and then it was he was a snitch, and then it was he told him to get out of the store. He wasn't wanted around here in the store, and he never touched him. But in his cool fashion, he basically just told him, yo, cuz you can't stay, you ain't supposed to come around here no more, whatever. Then you'll hear, he came and shook his hand and wanted him to do a song with him and all this other. Then you'll hear that. So through it all, but then the things you see is that he was a rapper, that
right.
So he was, well, we don't even know it was a black man, because nowadays motherfuckers, they got masks they can put on now and make themselves black. So
oh shit, you went real raw deep, because that's the fact. That's a fact right there, because I know for a fact, because I did see that news article.
I seen
the
that
dude had on a mask.
Yeah,
dog.
The
black
one who,
mask.
It was a white.
He was robbing bank.
Yeah. So you know what I'm saying. So once again, that's why you can't say what it is, and for you to dismiss it, and you said is, that shows naive. You being,
Let me ask you this question.
You know what I'm saying?
Since you brought it up, let's because that article, I read that article as well. And the one thing this is not even a criticism. It's more of a critique of Jemele Hill. It's more along the lines of, she's a great writer, but her point of view when it comes to black men and her writing of it, it seems a little jaded. You know what I'm saying? Because, I mean, jaded in the sense of, you're writing an article on the person that just died, right? A well-known person. You can't rule out anything. Like, she's been, like I'm saying, she, us, anybody that's, black, that's been here and has watched what's going on. If anybody that has any sense of history, which in my opinion, I think she does, how could you, if you're going to write something, then write a whole large piece on it, put your disclaimer out there, put everything on the table, like you just said. Look at the history of this country. Look at the other, I'm not even going to say he was a city, United States leader. What I'm saying is he was a leader in his community. So when you look at people,
she called him a revolutionary.
So if he's revolutionary, right? Okay, good. That's a great adjective. So if he's revolutionary, then you have to look at what happens to revolutionaries in the bigger picture. Don't rule out the conspiracy to say that he wasn't being taken out because he was trying to do better for his community, and he had power in his community. He had an open door policy where he could actually get Crips and Bloods together and, form these meetings to go and try to work with the law enforcement to make a community policing model. Because, there was a time, this is before he was even born, that in the 60s and the 70s, the community policing did come along, and the tensions were lessened. Like, granted, you can't stop all police. There are dickhead police, like there are. But, there are also other officers who actually were part of the community. Like, you knew who they were. They knew your name. Things of that nature. One hand washed the other. Like, or people from the neighborhood was patrolling their old neighborhoods because they built the trust factor. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't on some slave patrol mentality. So I said all that to say that Jemele Hill is a smart enough individual to lay out all of the context that is should be included when you're talking about somebody that you call a revolutionary. Because all she got to do is just look at Malcolm X. All she got to do is look at Dr. Martin Luther King.
She did name them in the piece.
So if you naming them, then you got to make the connection, though. Like, see how we can do
that's
it?
what I'm saying. Like, that's
we
what I'm
put
saying.
puzzles together.
That's what I'm saying. Like, for you to say at the end of that story that, well, just to dismiss I'm not dismissing anything. That's what I'm not going to dismiss anything.
I'm with you.
Me, everything is on the table. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't there, but I'm just going by what I'm seeing and piecing it together and formulating a theory. You know what I'm saying? And that's all. If that's what you're gonna do, you do. But if not, that's not. But people gonna believe what they want to believe. And like I said, all I'm trying to do is follow the facts. Like what facts? Separate the facts from the bullshit. You know what I'm saying? And then you'll get to your answer than what you want. Like that's how you're gonna figure it out. Like that's how because they're not gonna give you the whole story. Like you gotta watch it and listen keenly and hear the things that's being said, and then analyze, observe it, and then put it. You'll see. The picture start becoming clear. So
well, the media is definitely You're right. They're not going to give you the whole story.
No, they're not
going
to give you the whole. Well, their goal is to entertain you. Their goal is to put out the fastest news possible on a story and run with what they know to get you to tune into their station and tune into whatever they want you to tune into. Their web page, their website, their TV station, whatever. So that's the thing. They're trying to get quick attention. Boom. Our ratings was good for that. We need to run with this some more. We got to, So that's what they're about.
Mm-hmm.
So when, that's why, you can't jump to anything. You got to let a few days, let it play out and see how it goes. You know what I'm saying? And see what start coming out. See who starts saying shit. See what information you start getting. You know what I'm saying? And then, you can start getting a clearer picture of maybe of what really transpired, or at least you can summarize to say, well, we know he came to the store. You got things like that, like like, all right, they saying that he was arrested 2 days ago, and then he's free. He was a known shooter in his hood,
Right.
So if you from the hood, if you a known shooter, police got you. They ain't not letting you go unless you offering them something that you can do.
Right.
That's how they work. We went to criminal justice school. We understand that. We was taught that. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. and we know that there's paperwork attached to all of that.
Yeah.
Like it's not conjecture and hearsay. Like we actually sat down and heard it ourselves from lawyers, police captains. Like we was taught by police captains and correction captains. Like we had people that showed us what time it was.
Oh, yeah.
This ain't no TV shit.
Like top, you talking like these are the top analysts. That's what I'm saying. Like these are the top people that was coming to that school and giving you and telling you how they view shit. And it hasn't changed because they still using that same formula. That's what they use.
Right.
It ain't changed since. It hasn't changed. And the only thing that is, they got more technology now. They got more technology to do shit. So, I'm just saying, you can't dismiss anything. Don't dismiss anything. Everything's on the table. Like, you know what I'm saying? Because just as he was doing these things, there was people who probably didn't want him to do those things. Is that a possibility? Yes, it is. Yes, that's a very strong. That's a very strong.
That's a fact.
Yeah. All right.
No, it's not a possibility. That's a fact.
It's a fact. Like you doing shit, you're trying to bring developments and all this shit to the hood, and they not getting a piece of it, but you bringing it to the councilman and the developer, and y'all coming together with this, and you in on it. Not Jay talking when people believe Jay was bringing the Nets to Brooklyn type shit. This is some shit you really involved in. Like you got the development, you show the development. You at City Hall with them, building these plans.
Right.
So
and what you want to put there? What stores are going in there?
You meeting with exactly. You're meeting with police officials. You and a couple other rappers are meeting with police officials to discuss situation. Well, guess what? There's people that get paid off of locking people up. And if they can't keep continuing to lock gangbangers up, that's bad business for them.
Right.
So you have a lot. You're making enemies, maybe not known to the public, but in other realms, you're making enemies. That's for fact.
In the same building, where you're going to meet with the mayor and these developers and councilmen in City Hall, you got somebody else down on the other side of the building that don't even want that to materialize. They want to keep locking people up because they got to fill those private prisons.
Exactly.
Like, that's a business. The business of locking us up.
And that's a fact. So that's real. Now, you do have motherfuckers in the hood that are haters. They hate you no matter what. If you don't do something for them, they mad at you. You know, if they ask you, well, you know, if you get him on a song, your career is different. Right. You know what I'm saying? He don't want to do a song with you. You mad? So if he don't want to do a song with you, you get that mad. But people are. He could be a special ed motherfucker. You don't know. True. You don't know. You know what I'm saying? He could be bipolar. He could be. That's probably why he ran to the mental hospital, or either that, or somebody told him to go there, and so he could turn himself in, so he don't get killed on the street. It's a lot of shit to this shit. It's a lot to it. So it's like you got to peel off the layers of this shit and get to the real shit and what's really. And you just watching how it play out. You know, then you gonna formulate what you got, because you know, like I said, there's so much layers, because the shit is just, you know how they throw mad shit out there to confuse you and get this set of people to believe this and get this set of people to believe this. So now everybody's arguing on their points of what they believe. But at the end of the day, you can't dismiss none of that shit, because all of that shit is on the table. It's not one, it's not the other. All of it is about, like, you know, sometimes people, you know, they just watch movies. You know, they be like, yo, that shit ain't real. You know, it's a movie. No, they get this shit from somewhere. You know what I'm saying? They get
it's
like
mapped out from
like
50, 60 years ago. Like, this is not something like they just thought of. I'm talking, when I say they, I mean the government. I'm talking about the prison industrial complex. Like, that's something that's real. Like, we learned about that 30 years ago. So, and how it was going to play out. Like, we understood before Clinton got into office and signed the 3 Strikes Law bill, we was already learning about what Joe Biden wrote. We learned about that in class.
Yeah.
Like we knew about this stuff, but we were sitting there like, what the hell is this?
I believe New York was like one of the first places to indoctrinate that type of shit.
Exactly.
The 3 strike shit, because they didn't believe in the death penalty. So they was like, yo, you get 3 strikes, you a career felon, you get life. You know what I'm saying? And
with that comes the devaluing of your alienable rights, like voting and things of that nature. You can't get a firearm. There's a whole bunch of stuff that go with that. You know, first of all, if you're not going to be able to get a firearm and you can't vote, you know, that's rendering you powerless right there. You know, on a different level. Yeah. You know, it forces you to have to rely on somebody else that's going to decide how and where you're going to live and how you're going to live your life, basically. And, well, don't forget, it's hard to get a job when you're a felon. So here you got this young brother taking care of people when they come home. Like, yo, you got skills, like, yo, here, it don't matter. You was in jail, but you got these skills right here. I'm going to need you to do this. You know, there's people that's heartbroken from that. Like, damn, I was doing my thing. He took, you know, he gave me a job. He trusted in me. You know, just look at it like that. So when people, I don't know, man, it makes me wonder, man, you know, when I look back and I say, you know, only six corporations own 90% of the media. Like, that's a fact. So for us to be able to watch a video of a young man getting killed, you know, that's desensitizing people to murder. Forget television murders and all of that. We're talking about we witnessing an actual murder on television of a young king, somebody who has the potential to actually do some things in this quote-unquote bad neighborhood. You know, South Central LA and this and that. Like, you know, it was all over glorified.
But the shit became a tourist attraction.
All of it is a tourist attraction.
Because people came from everywhere to just go to that store.
Right.
So he's bringing money. He's bringing money into that community. He's bringing money into that. He's bringing money to that area. If you come there to buy this and you got food and you got a food store here, people are always hungry. Gas stations are getting filled with gas. All kind of things is getting money is being money is staying in the hood now. Money is staying and circulating amongst him and his people. That's right. What you want, right? That's what you want.
Yep, that's exactly what you want.
That's what you want. So to me, you know, for you to kill him, and I mean, it's for you to kill him and take that away. I mean, you're not going to take it away unless the family just stopped doing it. But you took away the heart and spirit of it and the leader of it. So now you got to count on somebody else to be the leader of it, who may not be the same leader he is, because he had the vision. You know what I'm saying? So he had the vision that brought all of this together to make it happen. So
he had the foresight too, so because he's looking down the line.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? And, like, he was looking 10 years ahead. Like, this is where his head is.
That's why I'm saying. That's why he kept saying this is a marathon. That's why that's why he named this shit the marathon, but marathon clothing, because he knew it was a marathon. He said it, yo. This is a marathon. You know, it's not about the short run. It's about this long run. It's that long money we after. We ain't after the short money no more. We want that long money. We was getting short money when we was young. Now we want the long money, the shit that lasts forever. So when you ain't here, your kids is good, your wife is good, whoever is good, your family's good, your name is good. You know what I'm saying? Because you hustling for your name. That's what you hustling for. You hustling for your name. So, you know what I'm saying? Look, you got to look at all the shit that's out there. Like, when all the clothing and shit you wear somebody's fucking name.
Absolutely. Somebody's last name.
Exactly. So, they hustling for their last name. They hustling for their name, man. And he was doing the same thing. And here, you know, at 33, he gets killed. In the prime, man. He in the prime. He ain't even
in his neighborhood where he grew up.
Like his security guard said, man, we ain't even touch 100 mil yet.
Right.
He ain't even touch 100 mil yet. So he was that much. You hated him that much. Like, what kind of hate? Like, you hated a motherfucker that much, because he didn't want to rap with you, so you killed him.
Well, I mean, that's one storyline.
Is that the first person that's turned you down to do a song? Like, I mean, come on. Like, I mean, unless you was just crazy. Unless you, like I said, you schizo, bipolar, you know, something wrong with you. You know, you a crack baby. I don't know.
All of that, you know.
Meds? I don't know. You might be. You know, you only 20. He was only 29 or some shit like that. He
29.
He's 29 years old. He's 29 years old. So you know. So I mean, come on. He going either way. His life is done. You know, like right now. You know, like right now. He's locked up, $5 million bond. You know, we gonna get into that, how this Chris Darden shit come to account. I'm gonna need you to explain that 18B to the people. But
18B, no doubt.
So, but my thing on that is now Darden is telling him, basically trying to get the feds in, the DEA, to bring the feds into it, and getting him to snitch on gang leaders, because that's the only way he can save his life. That's the only way he can save his life, is if you get the feds, and then you can get him in witness protection program. And
his life is still over because you don't have any skills. So you're gonna, you know what? I'm gonna tell you the funny thing about witness protection from this documentary that I saw, where, you know, the guy's face was all blacked out through the documentary. He was in witness protection for, well, actually probably still is. He was in there for 20 years. And his job was to go into Muslim temples and become a part of the temple in order to, one, either plant some type of evidence like they had bombs in there because they wanted to shut down the temple, or just infiltrate if they thought that something was going on in there. He'll go and he'll become a member. He'll befriend one of the leaders, and then eventually the leader will get locked up, and then he goes to another city and does the same thing. And he was getting paid, every 2 weeks, or and that's what he did. That was his life. He was just a career informant, and he looked like one of them. And I've seen it on another show. When I was much younger, I saw it on Gil Noble. They had one of the CIA agents that went into the Panther organization.
Yeah. I've seen that one.
Like he's telling you what it is. Like, I went in and I befriended them, and and I became a part of the group. People, they need to know, man.
For you young cats, go to YouTube, look up Gil Noble.
Look up Gil Noble. If you don't know, Like It Is. That's the name of the show. Like It Is. Just put in CIA informant. Just put in that Gil Noble and CIA informant, and Like It Is, and a video will come up. It's like a little grainy, but you'll see a dude with an afro looking like 1970s look. You'll see it. But when you start looking at, there's so many things out there, spies in Mississippi. You're talking about infiltration of groups that are trying to make positive change. So when you go on into witness protection, your life is already over. You get a new identity, this and that. Like everything is done. First of all, now the people that's over you, who put you in WITSEC, they own you. You don't have any say.
He don't have. But at the end of the day, that's a strategic move because you know what I'm saying. If you're going to spare his life, because I believe California did. I think California had the death penalty.
I thought they did. I would have to look that up.
That's what I'm saying. I thought they did too, but it's either 25. They said he was looking at 25 to life, so I don't think they do. But
okay, so 25 to life. Okay, so you're going to serve the majority of that, and then come up for parole every 2 years.
But
or so.
That whole 25, he would have to serve that 23 in the box.
I think you got to do. I think you got to do 3/4 now.
Son, he would never listen to this. He would probably listen. I'm gonna keep it 100. Even if you take the plea or the bid, you do 25, you 23 in the box, 1 hour, you get your 1 hour a day. Your life is always in danger in the Bing. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
If the day you step foot out the Bing, you in danger. Even if you do 25 or 20-something years.
The 1 hour a day.
When you step out, when you 50, you still getting it. You know what I'm saying? If you don't get it in jail, you're going to get it as soon as you come out. It'll never be forgotten. You understand? So, like, you plead, that's why Darden is like, you got to get the feds involved to put you in that witness, and you can disappear and go away forever if the DA is interested. But, the DA might not be interested.
Let's put it like this: if that plaza was already under surveillance for a variety of reasons, so they already was watching.
And that's what I'm saying. That's why it's so much shit to this shit, son. It's so much because if he was a known informant, like they were saying, then he came up there to get info.
Exactly.
Because Nipsey, he wasn't even supposed to be there. He just came through on some nobody knew shit, and he just came through to get his man some clothes who just came home from doing 20.
Yep.
So he was just there on the humble. So either you was laying on the store waiting to see if he came through, or you know what I'm saying, or somebody else was watching the spot and told him and gave you the signal to come through, or you know what I'm saying. Either one, but I mean, son. Either way, he was there when he was there, and then you got after that. That's when it gets The whole story got so many layers. We gotta peel it. We gonna keep peeling it though. I need you to tell them about the 18B though. Explain how, because I was wondering. Let me set it up. Because I asked you, what kind of shit is this? Chris Darden, out of all the motherfuckers in the court, how does he get the case? And I'm like, okay, are you trying to, like, somebody who hired you? Who hired you to take this case? So, like, that means if somebody hired him, that means somebody's behind you. You know what I'm saying? Now, if you say you're doing it for pro bono, then you looking for fame off of this. But you told me, nah, it was assigned to him on 18B. Tell him what that is, brother.
So 18B is like, okay, let's say, now, once he got arrested, okay, like, first of all, Darden runs his own shop. So he runs his own firm. So now when Holder gets anybody, if somebody gets going, especially high profile, they're going into the arraignment. They're going to be booked or whatever. They're going to go see the judge. That's what they do, the preliminaries of, if you can't afford a lawyer, one will be provided to you. So they look at, well, can you afford the, to hire a lawyer? They look at all of that. So now Darden and cats like that, they're in the courtroom already because there are other cases that are going to go on. So they're there. So when it comes to the point, well, no, I can't afford a lawyer, that's when one steps up. So if one steps up and says, I'll defend this person, that's one way. And then the 18B is just a code for this person can't afford a lawyer, so one is being provided to him. That's Darden stepping up and saying, I'm going to take this case. There's another way that the 18B comes into place where the judge looks into the courtroom right there, and they look at the lawyers that are there, and they say, Darden, I'm giving you this case. It's an 18B, blah, blah, blah. That's how that works.
So now then the question becomes, did Darden run to the courtroom to be there?
Absolutely. Why wouldn't you?
So you wanted to be in the courtroom when this kid was getting arraigned, so you can be there.
It's one way or the other. Either you there already or you went there. Like you found a way
somebody
to
told you,
and you went there.
So like it's like somebody could have just basically told them, then look, say you ain't got no lawyer, somebody's in there already waiting for you. That's a possibility. That's a strong factual, but that's a possibility, is it not?
That would happen before you even get to the court. Like, that's something that could take place in booking. Once they, if you're in, if they got you in holding and they're interviewing you, whatever it is, when they say, we're going to charge you with A, B, C, D, you're going to go see the judge. And you don't have a lawyer yet, or you can have a lawyer, or you're going to get one, but you got to go to the courtroom and they got to make it official. Like, that happens. Either Darden went there because the kid was going to be there, because it's a high-profile case, or he was already in there because there's other cases that he was going to be doing, and the judge asked him to take the case. Either way, he's there.
So now, when I go back and I look at the video and I'm looking at Darden's face, he has this look on his face that's like, man, I don't want this shit. But, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't even need this heat. Because I'm like, okay, he's not even really looking at the dude. He got his head. He turns around, tell him, say not guilty. Turn back around. His whole body language gave off some shit like he wasn't thrilled that he wasn't thrilled about this.
People are not thrilled with 18B cases because, for as quiet as it's kept, a lot of these lawyers that have their own shops, they have a heavy caseload already. So if a judge is going to assign you more work, like that's not something that you sign up. Well, you sign up for it because you're there. It's a possibility that it can happen. It's your turn up. You're next up on the 18B on the judges list because you are in that courtroom so much. They know you. Like, I'm gonna give you this case. You had one of these before. Like, that's what they do. Like, it's not out of the realm of possibility. That's how 18Bs work. Now, the point that you brought up to say, well, if that's a viable defense, it absolutely is a viable defense. If you're trying to get out of doing 25 to life, you know, you have to give up a hell of a lot of information. You're talking about a murder. So, in a murder of a celebrity, too. So, to get the alphabet boys involved, you know, you got to come up with a lot of dirt. And, yes, they will ship you off, you know, to some, you know, secluded land or whatever. Yeah, you be in witness protection, you know, all of that. But, you know, protected from what? Like, your life is over. You know, well, his life was already over. Like, you talking about somebody that's a known shooter. There's only two ways that you're going to come out, you know, of living that type of lifestyle. Like, if you're a shooter, you're going to end up dead or in jail.
Yeah.
Or the third, now as we see, could be witness protection. You know, because we looked at the Gotti case, Sammy the Bull, like he went in witness protection. I mean, and he bodied like 18 people. You know what I'm saying? So it ain't like it don't happen. And then he came home, nobody messed with him, but I'm not comparing those situations. I'm just using witness protection, you know, as the model. It happened. Yeah. So as we sit back here and we look at, all right, when people are speaking on this thing here, you can have the small level conspiracy that people were talking about, you know, Dr. CB and this and that. Let me tell you something. Dr. CB has been around since the 1980s, okay? And, you know, before that, actually, Dr. CB was around in the 1970s because his court case was in the late 70s. You know, and when you deal with, that's another genius, when you deal with people who are above the state certificate level, you know, because there's people that they have certificates and they can't help you do shit. They just pump drugs in you. They're the certified drug dealers. Some of the doctors, they just pump shit. Here, take this, take that. They don't give a fuck. I mean, you got to look at it like this. Remember the Tuskegee experiment. You had black people, you know, being experimented on, just giving them, you know, syphilis to see how they was going to die. 1930 to 1974, 44 years. How many generations is that? That's 2 generations right there. This is medical experimentation, you know, all of that shit. So when you start looking at that, how can you dismiss anything when it comes to the assassination? Because that's basically what it is. Because when you're at that level,
that's funny that you said that, because I was watching the interview when the press conference when the police department was doing it, and the dude who I guess was next to the mayor, when he said that, you know, he had got a text that Nipsey and them wanted to set up a meeting with the police commissioner and things like that, and the mayor and you know, all public officials, and he was saying that how when he got the text that Sunday, the commissioner texted him and told him that Nipsey was assassinated. It didn't say murdered or killed. It said assassinated.
Right.
You know, I'm big on words. Like
that's what. Hey,
like you don't say. You're not going to say assassinated. They don't say that unless they know that or feel that.
You at that level.
Yeah.
That's a level.
Yeah.
You know, Martin Luther King was assassinated. You know, Malcolm X was assassinated. Fred Hampton was assassinated. It's real because anybody that has power, meaning they have people that believe in their vision and what they're doing, and they're actually out there living it and doing it, they have power. This dude was making change, okay? He changed himself. He re-educated. He said, I need to get my people up out of this bullshit. And he was living proof of that. And there's no better example for somebody to follow than a living proof example. Yes, he started off wrong. He corrected it. He went to another path. But when you do that, understand this. There's always going to be people. Everybody's not going to love you. You don't live your life so everybody can love you. That's not what you do in life. You live your life to take care of you, your family, the legacy, and your last name, and the people who actually love you. There are people who love you that are shunned away, you know, by other people who hate you. You know what I'm saying? Like, there are people that are going to love you, they follow your vision, and they ain't even close to you. Like, yo, I believe in him. I believe what he said. Yeah, I like him. Yeah, I'm going to follow him. And then you'll have people that's, you know, around you. They may not love you. They'll tolerate you. You know what I'm saying? But if you're positive in nature, See, love can always knock out hate, but if you are just pure evil, there's no loving that. Like, that's their job. Just like you're over here, they got another counterpart on the other side. You're the love, they're the hate. You're making progress, they're low life. Like, there's always polar opposites. And then you talking about somebody who was, he said this, I was ignorant to a lot of things.
Yeah.
And then he woke up.
Well, you know, when you're young, you know, we've all been there.
We've been there.
Where we've been there. Like, we've been there. We've been through that era when we was young. We ran around wild, did whatever, you know, and then finally you come to that point where you got to grow up. You know, eventually you come to that point, as you should, after, you know, you maturing in life, that you got to grow up. You see shit differently. You know, you definitely start to see things differently. And that's where, his shit, when he seen it, you know, he enlightened himself and started reading, went back home to his mainland, you know, got in tune with himself, you know, started reading more, getting about his business. And, you know, he took his time and did his thing. Like, he took his time to build this. Like, he took his time, literally. That's why you got to respect how he thought, because it was like, yo, he said, this is a marathon. So he started off, and he kept chipping away until he finally kicked in the door. And when you finally kick in the door and you start to become successful, that success that's putting you in another level, in another stratosphere, people gonna hate you, man. That's just facts. They gonna hate you. Like, you know what I'm saying? There's gonna be people that's mad. They gonna say, why? Why it wasn't me? Why it wasn't you? Because you ain't work as hard as he did. That's why it wasn't you. You know, I get it. You know what I'm saying? When you a rapper and you want to give your demo, you want to give your demo, you want a rapper to listen to your lyrics and things like that. A lot of them, they don't want to hear that shit. You know, they may take your music or something and listen to it eventually, or they may throw it away. It's just, but you already know that going in, that there's a chance that if you putting myself out there, he may not fuck with me. He may not feel me like that. He may not even be about it like that, trying to put other motherfuckers on. You know, but because you know he had this good nature, you know, I feel like people felt like, you know, as long as I can get in front of him, he'll help me do it. You know, it's about your presentation and how you going about your business also. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So it's a lot to the shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, because, like, I heard his brother speak, and then his brother says, you know, the dude came, his story and his business partner's story is that dude came up there and basically he was getting something to eat, I seen Nip, shook his hand, talking about, you know, he wanted to do music with him, left, behind, he rolled out, then he came back and shot him. You know what I'm saying? So, like, then if that's the story that they're saying, then that doesn't sound like, you know, some hating ass dude. That sounds like somebody paid you to do a hit, or that, you know, you were supposed to do something and that's what it was. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, that's usually how it goes. I mean, there's many ways to do it, but you know, we start talking. There's many ways, but when you start, that's why nothing could be ruled out when you start talking about federal agencies.
You can't rule out anything.
They do that.
You can't even rule out rogue cops. You can't rule out.
No, you can't.
You can't rule out hating ass street motherfuckers. You know what I'm saying? You can't rule out anything. You know what I'm saying? If you fucking with somebody getting to that money, they don't give a fuck. You stay the fuck out of my business. That's how they look at shit. They don't look at it like, yeah, we gonna come together, because they don't have that love in them like that. They wasn't taught on that. You know what I'm saying? They wasn't taught to love like that. They wasn't taught to see that vision. You know, they vision is
brought up rogue cops. Think about it like this. Because I'm gonna connect it right now. If you got rogue cops and you got gangs dealing drugs, massive quantities, because L.A. is a drug hub, just like Chicago, New York City, Baltimore, et cetera, Houston, Miami. So if you have these rogue cops who get money by robbing drug dealers, and now you have drug dealers that are now aligning together to put their money together towards a bigger cause. They're not going to fight and they're not going to kill each other anymore. They're going to get this money, but they're going to get it together. And no, they're not going to let the cops rob them. They're not going to, you know what I'm saying? Like, there is no spot to run up in. Then you taking money out of a road cop's, right out of his pocket. I mean, that's another way to look at it. You know, there's many layers to this shit. You know, when you look at the DEA, you know, I know that they, all right, in terms of the fantasy that is projected, when I say television is a fantasy because they want you to believe something that's not even halfway true. Mm-hmm. So, you know, our country is run on drugs. Like, there's plenty of drugs. They come in all over the damn place. So if you take away that part of the economy, it's going to crash. So who's going to sell it? You already got a bunch of people on opioids right now. You know, you don't want to jail them. You're putting them in hospitals. You know, somebody got to sell the drugs. Like, it ain't just black people selling drugs. And drugs get sold all over the place. Right. However, the people that are here, you're talking about two major organizations. And I'm saying that, yes, they lack structure, and they went away from their format of what they was built for. But the Crips and the Bloods was a community organization. That's how it began. The Black Panthers was a community organization. You know, it could be said that the Black Panthers was feeding their community before there was a WIC. They was the one that put in the food programs in their neighborhood, got the food together to feed the kids in their hood for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Because people were struggling in the 60s and the 70s because the recession that was there, the same recession that's going on now. You got to remember, when drugs hit, people are going to lose their jobs because it's a numbers game. Everybody's not going to be on drugs. No doubt. Everybody's not. But there's going to be a lot of people that are, and it's going to have a collateral damage all the way down. It's going to affect families the same way that when crack hit. Heroin didn't go anywhere. We still got heroin, but when crack came, it just took it to a whole nother level. And now you're looking at all these stories that's coming out, Freeway, Ricky Ross story, and he, in terms of, yes, he was a major distributor, but on the chain of command, he was basically a low-level distributor because his upline had other people. And look at his upline. He got caught up, and he was trying to set Freeway Ricky Ross up, and he wasn't even dealing no more. So we can't put nothing past anybody. When it comes to that level of making money, you're talking about hundreds of millions of dollars, man. Yeah. Period. Because, you know, you could call Crenshaw or any of those parts, Inglewood, you know, back, you know, where the Lakers play and all of that. Like, that's prime real estate. If quiet is kept. Anything that's near an arena is prime real estate. And let's put it like this. The inner city is always going to be prime real estate because in reality, the inner city is close to the corporations that are actually funding the city. And it's close to where people want to work. You don't got to go all the way out in the suburbs. You don't got to go all the way the hell out to Alameda, you know, or Pasadena. Like, you're in Los Angeles. You're just in South Central. Yes, it's 40 minutes away from the central of the city, but it's still closer than being an hour and a half away. 2 hours. Because Los Angeles area is spread out crazy. Yeah. You know, to get from one side to the other is just illmatic. Like, it's crazy out there. But, you know, with all of that being said, that's like in any major city. That's what goes on. So we are old enough to know better. We did go to school and study this. We were taught by people in the industry, you know, of what was coming down the pipe. We knew about the school-to-prison pipeline before it even became, like, this fad. And I say fad, I mean a media fad, where they just kept talking about it. You know, we learned about this, I'm talking about the early 90s, man. It's crazy. Like, it's just, but now we seeing it play out. Like, damn, they said this was going to happen. And, yeah, granted, we know our rights and the Constitution, the Bill of Rights and all of that, but, yo, I can't force anybody to learn how to read a document and understand how you're supposed to interact with quote-unquote authority. You know what I'm saying? There's certain rights that we witnessed this straight up. I remember we was driving and we got pulled over in Delaware, and I told the officer straight up, state trooper, like, nah, I don't consent to you going up in my car. I'm exercising my Fourth Amendment rights. Now, granted, he didn't give a fuck. He tossed the car and, he threw everything out, and whatever was in plain sight, and that's what he took and threw out. Now, he wasn't digging in nothing. He ain't rip up no floorboards or nothing like that, but that's what they do. They could just look at something like, all right, well, I'm going to throw it on the floor and see what I can find. Yeah, they fuck with you, but they can't arrest you. You got to have reasonable suspicion now. It used to be reasonable doubt. Now they just, lowered the standard so they can roll up on people. But if you don't know your rights, like, yo, you want my ID for what? You suspect that I've done a crime? Am I being detained? Once you throw those words out there, that's a trigger word for them, like, oh, okay, there's one of them smart-ass Negroes. Yeah, fall back. I'm not a criminal. I've done nothing. I don't need to show you my ID. As a matter of fact, let me see your ID. Are you a citizen? Do you have a green card? Like, I'm from here. Where are you from? Once you start doing that, then it gets kind of iffy because you could run into, a low esteem cop. Like he just, on the job, he wanna beat somebody up. He don't even live near the community. Like that's part of the problem too. You have people that are policing the community that have no idea of the culture of where they're policing, and that's where community policing wasn't like that. Like they used to put people that are familiar with the culture in the community. I see it in Chinatown. I don't see black cops in Chinatown. I don't see white cops in Chinatown.
Well, you might,
I see a lot of Asians.
If you see a black cop in China, they doing traffic.
Yeah, I don't count them as law enforcement. Like they do something else. But in terms of law enforcement, I don't see black cops patrolling the Asian neighborhood. Like they have a lot of Asian cops in that precinct or in that perimeter, on those task force. But, when you're looking at other, even in Italian neighborhoods, black people policing Italian neighborhoods. What are you supposed to find out working out there? You think they're going to tell you anything? No. I mean, not that that's the culture, but if you're going to get back to CPOP with your community policing, that's what you have to do. But the distrust level is so high now because, as you said many times, we get bombarded in media with so much bullshit that we lose sight of what actually is more important, which is your right to, one, be free, innocent until proven guilty. So that means that when I'm walking to the store, if I'm riding to the supermarket in my vehicle, you can't just pull me over because I looked into your car, eye to eye. I gave you eye contact, so you're going to pull me over. Like, what the fuck is this, 1920? 1845? Like, this ain't that no more. We ain't our ancestors. Like, we not living under, granted, they lived under black codes and Jim Crow and all of that stuff, Reconstruction, however they want to call it. But this ain't that time, bro. Like, we understand what it is, but have a level of respect. Because have you ever got out of a situation where, damn, this motherfucker tried to flex on me because he had a shield, and he was dead ass wrong, and he fell back, but he didn't want to. You always gonna encounter that. But if I was a scary person and I didn't know my right, then I'm getting hemmed up just on GP because I don't know no better. That's where we gotta be. That's where we gotta get to, so you can walk confidently in your ability to go and handle your business. That man that lost his life, he flipped the script. He said, I'm not going to be a statistic. I'm going to turn my life around, and I got plans, and I'm going to execute them. He wasn't even here that long to do it, but he did a lot. So if anybody needs a model for success, just look at what that man did. And he's no different than the other people that we spoke of already earlier who lost their life. You're talking about these guys ain't even reaching 40. Malcolm X wasn't 40. Martin Luther King wasn't 40. Like, come on, dog. Like, we passed that threshold. We still here, and I'm like, damn, they gone. It's scary, man.
Yeah, real talk.
Shit is scary. For the youth out there, all I can say is, you really gotta read. You got time. Well, no, you actually don't have time. But the time that you do have, when you wake up and you're breathing, you gotta re-educate yourself every day. You gotta learn something new. You gotta watch who you hang around. You really do. You gotta choose people wisely. And I'm not saying, you get into a disagreement with your friend and things of that nature, or your brother, and now you don't want to fuck with him no more. You don't want to talk to her no more. Like, people are gonna have disagreements. Like, damn. Like, it's human nature. Like, give us a fucking break. Like, nobody lives under violins and inside of bubbles. But when you really think about why you get into some of the shit that you do, people are under different types of pressure.
Yeah.
Maybe it was just a fucked up day. How about that? I ain't get enough sleep. Fuck it. I'm grumpy. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? Like, shit just happens like that sometimes, man, because that's just how it is. But if you know your man, or if you know your cousin or your brother, y'all going to build off of that anyway. Like, you was fucking, your attitude was disgusting yesterday. Man, what happened? Man, you didn't get no sleep? Nah, man, this shit happened right here. Oh, context. We always got to look at the context, but you got to take the time to get to see the context. So when you have writers that are just like, well, yeah, he was a revolutionary, but, when you throw in a but, or you want to call him misogynist, or you want to, taint his legacy, so I can see why people were actually losing, quote unquote, friends online, because you kicking dirt on a man's name that you shouldn't be kicking dirt. You should respect that man because of where he came from and what he did. He turned his life around. Yeah. You got to respect the elevation. And we got too many people out here that try to put one thing over the other in terms of, this is more important than this. No, it's not. Like, when you look at a person that came from the ghetto, their life is a little harder than somebody that came from the suburbs. Now, granted, they got tough shit going on in the suburbs, too. Yeah, they do. Water bills and all that shit. I get it. You know what I mean? Like, I understand. The struggle is real no matter what level you're playing at.
Different level, though.
Different level. Like, you can ascertain a water bill. Like, going in, like, you got a motherfucking water bill, but I might not be able to pay my electric bill. How about that? And it's low.
It's different. Everybody's struggles is different.
Everybody's struggle different.
That's why you can't minimize nobody's shit, because everybody's shit is different to them.
Yeah. So before we even sign off, let's just segue real quick in terms of one thing over other. I read that Isaiah Washington article where he basically got into petty mode and said, well, Trump has done more for black people than Obama, but he said he's not a Democrat or a Republican, so because I fall in that category, I'm an independent as well.
Exactly.
But it seemed like his rationale, at the end of the day, it was like Trump invited me to the White House and Obama did. So that's what it seemed like.
Yeah, that's what it felt like. I mean, like
that's
it felt like
to me.
It felt like when I read the article, I was like, okay, so what are you talking about? So I read the article, and he's like, well, he had a program or whatever, Black Agenda program and an African Agenda program that he wanted to submit to Obama and have him look at it and sit down and talk about it, about making an initiative for, Black agendas.
Right.
He basically said he went to his senator, did the necessary things to set up the meeting, never happened. Trump gets in office. Trump is going to sign the First Step Act, and he invites all these black entertainers.
Right.
First time at the White House. So then he comes up with said, well, he did this and this. Basically, he released 3,000 prisoners, and 16,000 more now are going into rehabilitation and coming out of jail, basically,
right,
to that extent. So, and that's what he's basing his statement off of, which I also agree. I felt like it was petty. I felt like,
right.
he did that as a smack to Obama. But I can understand why he was upset. I do understand why, you know what I'm saying? Like you said, there's layers. We said there's layers of shit. So I understand why he's upset, and
I do.
on that level. And, his history, because I don't think a lot of people really understand like him coming up with that, saying that. And, now he was on Grey's Anatomy.
Yes,
right?
I do. Right.
And he had got into it with one of the actors on the show. They made a statement and said he made a homophobic slur, then smacked the guy, something to that effect, which he said he never did, or something. He said he didn't do that. That never happened, and they put that out there on him, and then they used that to fire him off of Grey's Anatomy. And, he felt like, because I heard his version, and he basically felt like, what's her name? Who's the producer of those shows again?
Shonda Rhimes.
Yeah, Shonda Rhimes, and left him out there, hung him out there to dry, and things like that. So now, if you understand that story, and then you understand that Shonda Rhimes is connected to Oprah, who's also connected to the Obamas, and then you make a homophobic slur statement, and well, you said you didn't make the homophobic statement, but they're saying
you said you didn't. Right.
And it's all out throughout the media. You can't fight that public bashing, So later on, even now, they'll say now, well, it was an error, whatever it is, I believe. But not an error, but that you didn't say that. And
you didn't say it, but the damage has been already done because the machine is out there.
So now, if you're Obama, you got to go in I like to touch everybody's shoe. Now, if you're in Obama's position, you know that the gay community is riding with you,
and you signed the legislation for them.
You come up with a meeting with him, then that could lead to backlash for you, because it's all about image for these guys. You know what I'm saying? So it's gonna be backlash for him, and he didn't why have that when he already had enough heat going on for being in the White House and shit like that. So I looked at it in that fashion too, that those 6 degrees of separation led to him never probably not calling him back, or inviting him to the White House or anything to that nature. You know what I'm saying? But I can understand and see why he's mad, because he's saying that this is an agenda that he has, and he felt like, it should at least been heard or something. Well, if not, you're not listening to it, pass it on to the Black Congress or whatever, and have them.
The Congressional Black Caucus.
Yeah, and the caucus, and have them look at it, and things like that. But none of that transpired. So I get it. You know what I'm saying? I get it, but I think also it led to a debate where people was defending what Obama's what he did or what he didn't do and things like that, and it's definitely a divide with the people with the community on what. It's half and half pretty much.
It's definitely half and half. One thing that we all can agree on that, Trump, 45 was not a better president than Obama. Like, they're all presidents. They all do the same thing. They cater to special interest groups. Like, the people that put you in office, you need to take care of them, whoever they are. Mm-hmm. The NRA, the banks, whatever. You know what I'm saying? The lobbyists, the people that funded your campaign, period.
Yeah.
So, of course you're going to work in their best interest. Just like we spoke off the air earlier about, when Obama was his first term in office, they had the House. The Dems controlled the House. So if you was going to push anything through, it was going to be during that first term. And during that first term, he did get some things pushed through, and that's why you see all of these various programs that had nothing to do. Those were for his people that rode with him. You know what I'm saying? He pushed them. You got something for youth, because he hit the millennials up because they put him in office. The young, that's black and white. This ain't a black-white. This ain't a black thing. This is a black and white thing. So you got something for the young. You got something for the women. You got something for LGBTQ. You got something for the banks. You got all of these special interest groups because that's what they are. Mm-hmm. But the black agenda, quote unquote, first of all, we got to rename it something different, because in terms of law, no, seriously, because in terms of law, there is no such thing as black. And that's where we fucked up at, because it's not a black thing. You have to come back to where we were when we were in power last. The last thing that we were was the Moors. That's what we were. We were Moorish Americans. But so when you talk about white don't have nothing to do with the people that you see walking around out here that's coming from Europe. They're Europeans. They're not white people. White in law is totally different. You know what I mean? So that's where it's all fucked up. But then you have to also be able to read and understand that when you start talking about nationality, sovereignty, and all of that. Granted, like, I'm not the type that I need to put on the little red cap and walk around. I don't believe in that stuff. When I say I don't believe, I'm talking about the wardrobe that comes with it. Can I be a sovereign citizen and not walk around looking like that or whatever? Like, I don't want to dress like that. Or if you believe, like, if you go to another group, whatever it is that you sanction, I don't want to dress in a long robe or whatever and wear a kufi. Like, maybe I don't want to dress like that. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Like, the region of the world that I live in, it's not 95 or 100 degrees all day, where I need to have on this long shirt down to my ankles to shield me from the sun. People not even putting that together. But let me not get off track. When I say the divide comes from people not understanding the politics of how it actually happened. Presidents run the corporation of the United States. It's without question. But if you attack the local level, the people that if you look at a lot of the local neighborhood politicians that get into office from various neighborhoods, they take care of their neighborhood. They do.
Yeah.
It's that simple. It doesn't even matter. Like, I'm talking about, the Asians, they got Chinatown. Yeah, and so now when you start talking about voting and things like that, the Asian population don't come out and vote heavy like that. But they have their own neighborhood. They have their own community. They have their own economy.
Yeah, because they got their own, but they all got representation.
That's my point. They all have representation. But you know how strong the Asians are? I'm talking about in general on a global level. Like, they tried to devalue their money, and they damn near collapsed the United States dollar just off of them devaluing their own money. To say, like, you know what? Let's flip the script. Let's say you got people out here that make millions of dollars, right? Let's just say if it takes $100,000 to feed a family of 5, right? And you out here and you in the struggle. Now, over across the world, we call them third world countries, right? but Nike's over there. You got other corporations over there. People are getting jobs. And granted, some of them is in sweatshops. But I said all that to say that a family of 5 over there, maybe they only take $10,000 to feed a family of 5. And they got food, they got shelter, they got all of that. So where would you rather be? Would you rather be in that place where you could actually feed a family of 5 off of $10,000? Or would you rather be in a place where a family of 5 and you make $100,000 and you struggling to do that? Where would you rather be? You ever thought about that?
Nah, I never thought about that.
I know you never thought about it because we on the other side of the world struggling to feed a family of 5, and the person over there on the other side of the world, they feed the family of 5 with the same resources we got now. I'm talking about in terms of food and water and all of that other stuff. They got it too. They just don't need as much money to do it. And they got their health. We just focus, not us, me and you, but in general, our people, we focus on the wrong shit. Because right now, I know people right now, they got millions of dollars. They would love to have my life right now. I'm happy, I'm healthy, I'll spend time with my family and my kids. They want that, and they don't have it. They'll trade their dollars for me, and I'll be like, nah, you ain't got enough to give me for that shit. But if you want to pass off a couple of bucks for the cause, you know, give it to me. I know what to do with it. You know what I'm saying? But nobody's gonna make that type of trade. But that's life. That's real. That's wealth. Yeah. You know, this money shit. Yeah, we all need money because look at what we on the grind. But if you have residual income, you know, I'm taking it back to your original point from before, from the first segment. If you have residual income and you was getting, let's just say you was getting a modest amount. Let's say you was getting $2,000 or $3,000 a month, and you was on the other side of the world. And remember, you only take, you know, $10,000 to feed a family of 5, but you get $2,000 or $3,000 a month for 12 months. That's $36,000, right? Real cash. But you only need $10,000 a year on the other side of the world to feed your family. You are living well. You could invest the difference. You could take half of the difference and invest the other half and still live large on the other side of the world on some acreage. Or in the United States. They got places that where it's quote-unquote poor. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, nobody's really out there. It's underdeveloped, you know, but that's how the money game flows. We all caught up, you know, in the TV matrix. I mean, not us, but, you know, but that's why we here. That's what the grumpy man is here for. You know, yeah, you know, we ain't ranting, we ain't raving. Best believe, you know, today is, you know, best believe we go there, but we're not angry. You know what I'm saying? We just fed up at this point. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm tired of the young, I say the youth. You know, I don't want them to be misled anymore. So anybody that wants to be awakened to some truthful stuff, then, you know, we got something for you. You know, it is what it is. You know, you can go to patreon.com/2grumpy, you know, or thegrumpyman.com. You know, this, you know, we'll post a podcast. We're going to have it on Spotify. We're going to be on Apple Podcasts. Most of the major platforms, you know, we'll have it on there. We'll be on iHeart. So we'll have the podcast. We're going to put it up there. You know, you can email us, you know, cgrooms@thegrumpyman.com. You know, you can just hit us up and take in this information, because we've said a lot on this podcast right here, and we only scratch one layer of the surface. You know, between everything that we, you know, because everything that we do know in terms of, we didn't say, oh, you know, yeah, we wasn't going to go into underground and the elaborate. No, we just dealing with surface stuff. You need to know that ABCD is possible. Yeah, it's not possible. Like, this happens. It's not possible. It's not even a theory. It's like, this has happened before. So, you know, that's what we do. This is the Grumpy Man, and, you know, you got anything you want to tell them, Bobby, before we go, man? Bobby May, what's good? Talk to the people, man.
Just appreciate everything, man. You know what I'm saying? Make sure you spread love, man. Just spread love, man. Too much hate as it is, you know what I'm saying? You know, my peoples, man, just continue on, man. Love and peace to everybody, man. You know, Grumpy Man style, man.
It is. Grumpy Man style. Peace.
Peace.